that, then everyone does, so.
Yeah, it's like. Like, you know,
Yeah.
sending a. Kind of like a 12th grade bully, you know, picking on third graders or something.
It was so funny. Not ready. Okay. Okay, okay.
They did not have and you can just kind of follow the show. They don't break.
When I'm selling it goes. Wow.
Yeah.
You can. See, let's do it.
She. This little guy's 16 weeks. 16 weeks, so big. How big is it gonna be? It's 12 pounds, it will be under 13 inches at present. Oh, yeah.
It's been 3 months.
This is our boy, us. Okay. He just came from the vet, so he's. Yeah, not having this day. I love you. But they're so high.
He's gonna probably call us out because you can't tell me. All the workshops and the presentations. Well, my granddaughter does, my daughter's being to have all.
So that's right. But you know, you're good, picking it up.
So like, you know, this is, you know, yeah, we will take that off the show. It's. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I you know. I got ill. Number of years. And she died. I said, okay, don't worry. Then the father's one of the they go the old one. Just on the other day. I told my wife, wish what you had. Yeah. No, because you're gonna. And I did. He was so loyal. But he was. Okay, they said, well, that person. All right, we'll work for his surprise, and I'm okay, I give you, you know. That's what we do. This, and I hadn't had it at all, I'd already had one, but. I realized that. Yeah, it was gonna get up and people are awesome. I saw it, very good events, or I said, yeah, people got. 16 weeks, she set up that promotion, where was it? Well, yeah, it's. I've got three sections. So that's something else. Yeah. I have $6,000. But if he retired more money, by then there is. And I said, what it was, he's retired.
Said this year. You're all it. Yeah. She didn't realize that I'm telling you. Thank you so much. I couldn't find your picture, I had to look. Pictures on the interviews. Yeah. He just said she was. So, no, this is. Yeah, and he, now wants to do, specialized to start. Yeah. No, you gave me Maggie.
Okay, so it's 3:30, so I shall go ahead and, well, we'll wait.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll wait for our secretary.
Well, first, please.
Where you from? Those things you can run. Oh, yeah. And so there you go.
But we won't go, we won't really get started. You're ready? Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and we have an additional item on the agenda. I just sent an email out an hour ago. I tried to send it out 2 days ago, but I accidentally sent it just to the executive committee. And so I'd like to, so the agenda, the extra agenda item is that Dr. Duff is here, and he's the associate vice president for academic affairs and accreditation, and he's going to, and planning. And he's gonna update us on the selection of a new tenure and promotion credential lane platform. So we're gonna start with that. I guess we need to do quorum. We'll do that later.
Sorry, need to do.
I think we have a quorum.
There we go. Yeah. We're good.
Routines.
All right, howdy.
Hi.
Some of y'all know me, some of y'all may not. I am Jeremy Duff. I've been a professor in political science since 2008 up until August 1st of this year. I'm still teaching one class this semester, but in August, well, let me back up a little bit. In 2016, I became our SAC-COC accreditation liaison. And so since then, I've been trying to make sure we stay accredited with SAC-COC. And we went through our 10-year review in 2023, and we've got through all of that. And so in August, Dr. Brown-Mars will move me into this new position. The like Don said, the associate vice president, academic affairs, so ridiculously long. So associate vice president, academic affairs, accreditation and planning. So I'm still doing all the accreditation stuff, but I discovered since August that the planning word is basically anything. And so I've been working on a lot of different things since then, but one of them has been the provost came to me in August, like right after I started, and said, I need you to identify a new platform for us to use for tenure promotion for the process for faculty, because D2L, I've been using D2L. I was on my college's TNP committee last year. Was it last year, Bev, or year before last?
The year before.
Oh, yeah, year before last. And there's just been, just complaints about D2L as a system. It's not made for TNC, it's made for classroom instruction. So, or course instruction, I should say, not classroom. But anyway, so she came to me and asked me to look into a system. And so I started digging into what's available out there, and eventually identified two. One of them is the one that Texas Tech uses, and I'll talk about that one a little bit. And then another one called Interfolio. And so that was back in August. And then she came to Faculty Senate, I think in September. And y'all expressed some of the same concerns about trying to find a new system. And since I'd already been looking at it, and kind of took the ball and really started rolling with it. And so at that point, she asked Dr. Slavens to pick some people from Faculty Senate to be part of the little committee to kind of review the products that we had identified. And so we had Dr. Hoos and Dr. Chowdhury, Dr. Chowdhury and Dr. Yu, who came and joined me in reviewing the two products that I had kind of gotten us to at that point, if that makes sense. So one was Watermark, which is, they have a system called Faculty Success, which is actually the one that Texas Tech uses, and then Interfolio. And so we met with both of those groups, Watermark and Interfolio. They did demonstrations for us, walked us through what their products could offer. And at the end of it, we discussed, and all three of the faculty senate members said that they preferred the Interfolio system over the Watermark system. And so then Dr. Brown Marsden and I engaged with Interfolio to come up with the pricing and the and that kind of stuff. We also, I'll get to this in a minute. So what I want to do, so that's kind of a short version of the process. But what I want to do is then kind of give you an overview of what the Interfolio system looks like when you apply or use it for going up for tenure and promotion. They have a system in place. There's a public facing system where you can go in and you can watch these training modules and things like that, and it kind of walks you through the process. And then we did some of that with the demonstrations that they showed us. And then they also have a thing called Interfolio University, where you log in and go in, and there's some more of those types of things in the system. And I've gone through all of those over the last few days. And all that being said, I want to kind of walk you through how this works and give you an idea of what you'll be looking at. So their product, there's actually two products that we're looking at purchasing. The first one is Review, Promotion, and Tenure, and that's their one that's specifically created for the promotion and tenure process. Now, I will say that in the future, I think we may look into using it for our annual progress reports as well, because I think you'll see the system is set up to accommodate those quite nicely, especially since our APRs are based on our tenure and promotion guidelines, more or less, right? So, but anyway, in the beginning, when we adopt this, we'll just be using it in the beginning for review, promotion, and for the promotion and tenure process. So this is just their description of what it is: an online platform for carrying out formal faculty reviews and all that kind of stuff. They call it review, promotion, and tenure. One of the things that we can do is we can kind of change what, and you'll find that all of this is sort of editable and changeable as we go through. And so we may, other universities call it something else, but we may just keep it RPT. I don't really think it matters all that much, but anyway, that's what they call it. The first thing you'll see in there is Dossier, and some of you may have used Dossier before. Dossier is it's a standalone thing, but it's also part of this review, promotion, and tenure system. It's where you can upload a lot of your information and stuff into Dossier. One of the cool things about Dossier is that we will have this all set up on the single sign-in that we use for everything else at MSU. But with Dossier, you can also create an individual Dossier account, so that if, God forbid, you leave Midwestern or go somewhere else, you can have that stuff go with you. Okay, before you can use it for future reviews and all that kind of stuff, wherever else you go. All right, but Dossier, you can, and I'm going to kind of go through this part somewhat quickly, but this is where you can upload a lot of different things, including you can request letters of recommendation. Those are confidential. They come in, you're the only person that will see those. They'll be stored, they'll be sent to your Dossier account, they'll be stored there, and you can use those for the promotion process. Yeah, and so like I said, all of that is just for you. Now you can choose to share it with individuals at our institution. You don't have to, but it never expires, and they will store your documents indefinitely, and that's where you can take them with you if you end up going someplace else. It includes, this is the dashboard for it, and I'm going to briefly talk about letters, materials, collections, and shared with me. So when you go in, you can have these different sections where you have the letters of recommendation that you've asked others to write. Then you can store a variety of materials in that account, including the letters of recommendation, supporting documents, CVs, cover letters, narratives, all that kind of stuff that you want to do for the tenure and promotion process. And then you can organize that into collections, and that can be based on what particular thing you're trying to get promoted to, or it can be based on like our annual progress reports or any other things that you want to put materials in as a collection for. And then you can have materials that are shared with you from other people. You can have a category for that. But for the meat and potatoes of the review, promotion, and tenure, the main thing is that once it's set up, we can go in and we can basically tailor it to our specific T&P guidelines. And so we have our T&P document that has all of these different sections and things that we have to put into our big binder, right? Several of you probably had to do the binder. I had to do the binder. It was not awesome. It's still in my office and it's this big, and I don't really know what to do with it now that I'm changing office. But all that being said, all those tabs and all those different sections of the binder we can create in this system. And so when you go in, what it does is when you're up for tenure and promotion, we go in and we create a case, and each individual is a case. And then you'll get an email notification when you log into review, promotion, and tenure that says your case has been created. You can now begin uploading or transferring, and I'll get to that in a minute, your documents and stuff into your case. And when you click on your case, it'll take you, and there's a tab for guidelines, and those guidelines will be there, and that's where you'll input all of the material based on our T&P guidelines. So it's, again, it can be all tailored specifically to what we have as our guidelines. And so you'll input all that. So, well, for future purposes, there's different things. So if there's different guidelines for full professor, or associate professor, or assistant professor, or assistant professor, or for our annual performance reports or whatever, then you can tailor each of those sets of guidelines to those things. And then when your case is created, it will be created specifically for whatever it is that you're supposed to go up for promotion for, or whatever. So yes.
The case is going to be created by the university.
Yes. So, and I'll talk about this at the end too. Like, for example, this next year, we'll identify who is going up for tenure and promotion in the fall. And you get the letter in the mail, right? The hard copy letter in the mail that says you're eligible to go up for full professor, assistant professor. We'll still send those out. But when that happens, we'll also create a case for you in the Interfolio system. And so when you get that letter, you should probably have gotten an email as well from Interfolio saying a case has been created for you. And then you'll click on that and you'll see the system there for you to start inputting your materials for the process.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I think that, in looking at the problems that we have with P2L, I think some people, we talked about having that available from the time that somebody begins.
Yes, and that's the other part that we've purchased, and that's the second part of my presentation.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. So then when you go into your case, so this is a third year review tenure, this is just an example from the thing. You'll see these different sections here where you upload your documents. And again, those will be tailored specifically to our T&P guidelines. And so you'll have, and then it'll even say, like, for example, in our T&P guidelines, it says to upload or to include like your 3 best examples of your syllabi. So this would say syllabi, and it would say 0 of 3. And then you would upload all 3 of those, and then when it was done, it would say 3 of 3, you hit submit, and that becomes part of what they call a packet. And your packet is the thing that you ultimately submit to the chair, and then goes to the college committee, and then the dean, and then the university committee, and so on. And so once you have everything uploaded into these sections, you've written your narratives, and narratives can be written within the system, or they can just be uploaded Word documents, whatever you prefer. And then once you have all that material included, you can preview your packet up there at the top, and then you can submit it. And then the system will be set up so that that will then immediately send an email and a notification to the department chair, who will then see that your case is ready for review. And then once the chairs reviewed it and uploaded their chair report, they will submit that, and then that will immediately send a notification to the committee chair and the other members of your TMP committee that the case has moved on to the next level and that they're ready to review it, and so on and so forth up the chain. So, for example, it might look like this, where candidate documents are the letter of notification that you received, department and college guidelines, your CV, and then teaching would include all of these things that are part of our TMP requirements. Make sense? Okay. And then as a reviewer, when you see it, you have whatever document you've clicked on appears in this frame. And then over here, you have this menu that contains every piece of information that's in the packet. And so if you click on like the teaching narrative and you have it over there, as you read through the teaching narrative, underneath the tab of teaching narrative, like this is publications and scholarly work or teaching experience, whatever it is, that will have another drop-down menu that has everything that's linked to or included that you discuss in the teaching narrative. So as you read through the teaching narrative and it says, see syllabi for PLS 1333, then you can go over here and just click the syllabi for PLS 1333, and it will come up in that thing. And then when you're done, you can just go back to the narrative. And so as a reviewer, when you read through this, like I said, everything's over here you can see it says packet. That's the individual's packet, and everything is over here under these tabs, and they just populate over here when you click on them. So the thing that Bev asked about is what they call faculty activity reporting. And that's one of the things that came out when I initially went into it. I was thinking that we would just do review, promotion, and tenure. And then when we saw the demo that Interfolio did, the 3 faculty members that were with me, I think y'all all agreed, right, that you thought that putting this together as part of the package would be very beneficial. And I agree with them as well. And so faculty activity reporting is the thing where from the second you step on to MSU's campus, you start putting in all of the things that you've done. And you can do anything that you do, whether it's community service, in university service, college service, your research publications, conference presentations, your artwork, all those types of things go into here. And so as faculty progress through their career, they sort of so I don't want to say on the fly, but as they're going on, they're uploading stuff into the system so that when you finally get to where you're eligible for promotion, all of that material is already in faculty activity reporting. And you've been doing it for 5 years. And the cool thing about that is because we can set up faculty activity reporting based to mirror our TMP guidelines. So you're uploading stuff into the system based on our TMP guidelines so that when you go up for TMP, it's already in there and it all transfers into the RPT side of the system. And so it just goes straight into there and you've already got it compiled because you've been doing it throughout your years at MSU. So, and I'll walk through a little bit of this, but so activity, like I said, it's anything that you do that contributes to tenure and promotion at Midwestern. So all the things that you think about, like for me, it was things like getting interviewed for the next election that was coming up or whatever, and I needed to, put a copy of the newspaper article in the binder or whatever, so I can scan that and do it, whatever, upload it in the system, and it's there. You basically create an entry for it into, and it goes under that heading of community service or whatever. So everything that we do essentially is included as an activity. When you go in there, there's 2 different forms. There's a profile form, and that's your contact information, your education, and all that kind of stuff. There's some things that as we do the IT for the system, as we implement the system, and IT is in charge of, getting it all so that it works, and we have the single sign and all that kind of stuff. They will upload all of our faculty members into the system. But then you can go in and then update any of your information, make sure that everything about all your degrees and all that kind of stuff is accurate, and so on and so forth. This part will actually help me when it comes to accreditation, because we have to do faculty credentialing and all of that. But for TMP and stuff, this is where you put your personal profile information, and then the activity forms are what you fill out for everything that you do that contributes to your prospects for tenure and promotion. And so, like I said before, everything in there is divided into sections. We'll tailor that to our tenure and promotion guidelines. And then, but there's also things like when you upload scholarly contributions, they can be tagged for specific things. Like, for example, they have a tag for like AACSB. And so at some point, if colleges want to use it for like their specific accreditation things, they can do that, because they can go in and see that they've had 16 faculty published articles that help them with their AACSB accreditation or whatever. And then when you look at your activity reporting, these are the categories that they have that are kind of default in the system, but we can change all of those to match whatever is in our TMP guidelines. And again, there's drop down menus for all of these where you can add subcategories and things like that too. And then they provide for VITAs. So there's a personal VITA template and an institutional VITA template. And actually the personal VITA templates are sort of infinite. You can create as many versions of your VITA as you want to. And you can just go in there and create different personal. If you want one that's teaching focused, you can do that. If you want one that's research focused, you can do that. If you want one that's admin focused, you can do that. And then we can also create the institution, that Western can create an institutional VITA for reporting purposes or whatever. And so we can then generate VITAs based on all the information that you put in faculty activity reporting, that if we have to report with SACS or some other accrediting agency, and it's a standard template that would look the same. But for your purposes, whether it's you're applying for another job on campus, or you're applying for another job at another university or institution, or for whatever reason, you can go in and create a template for VITA that matches whatever you're trying to do. And you can just create as many as you want in there, and then they're all editable. It's basically a word processor itself in the system, and you can change the headings, the font, the format, all that kind of stuff to match however you want it to, and then it will automatically generate the VITA for you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So let's say they've done all this and they do want to go to another institution. You said, it's portable. You can
The
go.
dossiers, the stuff that you put in dossiers is portable.
Okay.
Some of this stuff is not.
So I wondered, like, what if the other university we're going to doesn't have access?
Right. Well, you can take this, like if you generate all these VITAs or whatever, you can take those and put them in the dossier. And then when you go to the new place, you just log into dossier rather than logging into their TMP process or whatever.
I'm not leaving anytime soon, but I guess.
And then, like I said before, I got a little ahead of myself. Everything in faculty activity reporting can be transferred over to RPT. So the goal is, the most efficient thing then is for the faculty member to just do it as they go. And so as the year goes on, you continue to, you attend that conference, you come back, you put it in faculty activity reporting. You get that notification that your paper's been accepted, you put it in faculty activity reporting. And then when it comes out in print or online or whatever, you upload that PDF into FAR. And you give a presentation on music presentation or a concert or whatever. You go in and you can report on all of that within the system. And then it's there so that when you go up for, at some point your annual progress report, or for the next level of professor or whatever, it's already in the system. And then you just pull it over to RPT and it's there. Essentially, like the way it was described to me and the way I saw it when I looked at the system is that everything's there, and then you just write the narratives. And so you have all the documentation and everything's in the system. And then you just write the narratives and reference the material that you already have in there, in the narratives. Okay, so. A few other things. Like I said, this spring, the provost office plans to identify the individuals that will be going up for tenure and promotion this fall. And we hope to be able to give them early access so they can go in and start uploading things into faculty activity reporting and even start using the review, promotion, and tenure thing. We'd also like to give it to department chairs who have faculty that are going up if we can.
I have several questions. Do you want to do them one by one, or I add them all?
Just one by one.
Okay. Is the system going to be only for tenure and promotion?
For now.
I'm asking that because.
Well, the review, promotion, and tenure side will only be for tenure and promotion for now. You will only use that when you have a case that's been created because you're going up for tenure and promotion.
Do you see the possibility of someone who has passed the tenure promotion process being required to start to input data onto this thing?
Say that again?
Is it possible for the university to require us, even if you are full professor, to use the system? So
As far as I know, there's no requirement that, I mean, if you're going up for a different level, okay. So if you're still going up for associate or full, you would be required to use this for that. If you're a full professor, then no, I don't see why you would be required to do it.
Oh,
It's
they
just,
your reports though, right?
unless we're doing annual reports that through the system. Right now, we're not doing annual. reports.
Right now, our annual report, I turned in the paper copy, I don't use this system. My question really is the university, is there a possibility for the university to say, even if you are full professor, you are going to use this?
You talk about the
You
post
see.
promotion. The post promotion, it's not approved yet for our university. Another university, they do that, like UT system. Even if you are full professor, you have to do post promotion. That's what you are talking about, I think. We don't have it yet.
We don't have that.
We don't have.
Now, we may ask you at some point to do it for your annual progress reports.
Okay, so that's a possibility, because that's what concerned me.
Eventually, it might be a must. That's what
It
we
might be in the future.
At this point, there is no.
We don't have
discussion
that
that it
now.
will be a requirement.
Well, everybody has to do annual progress reports. And so
Yes,
we can use the system for annual progress reports, but it's not for review, promotion, and tenure.
well. Thank you for this way, my concern really for my question is, at this time, it is safe to assume that that only requires for people going through tenure.
Yes,
It's okay. Second question, is it required? Do people still have the ability to submit paper-based folder for tenure and promotion? So are we taking that option away?
Yes,
Because,
yes, there's no more paper, just online.
Yes.
I submitted my package this year. They said, no more paper, just
Yeah,
online.
already. I think it has to be digital. Once this comes.
I'm looking for something concrete so I can talk to my colleague and let them know. In the past, even for people, I mean, it's either using D12 or they should turn in paper-based package. So I'm asking, once we have this, are we going to lose the ability for faculty members to say, I'm going to submit a paper-based copy?
We've already
We've done that.
So, right now, no one has the ability to,
No more, no more.
okay?
No more people saying.
Okay, so no more paper-based code, okay? So we are expecting this to be effective in fall of 2026, right?
yes.
Okay, that's the company. Prior to that, do you see we can have some training for those who are
Yes.
going to apply?
Yes, there will be like a whole system of training.
Okay, that's good. Last question is, is the university willing and ready to commit to the system? Because once people start to build up the activity, let's say 2 years later, we say we are not going to pay for yet.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to that part. So, there's ample training, Interfolio themselves will provide training. There's also training that faculty can go on right now and start looking at. So they have a public facing training module that I can send you a link to, where you can go in and look at all of these systems that they have. And then there's another one called Interfolio University that has a bunch of different modules in it that you can go in and complete. You have to have a login to do that, but once we start implementing the system, you'll get that too. But Interfolio is also going to have training as well. And then once we have our templates in place for the tenure and promotion, so the specific guidelines, we've got them put into the system, we will provide you guys with a step-by-step instructions on where to put everything. That'll probably be my job. But that's the plan right now. Where the idea is to have it, we're gonna start implementing this spring. And then have it ready by May for people to start putting information into, so that they can have it ready for the fall when they get their letters. It's a 3-year contract, so we're locked in for 3 years regardless. And with an option to go up to 5 years. And the provost is committed to doing the 3 years, no matter what. We're taking the money out of HEAP funds, and the funds are available. And it benefits the entire faculty at Midwestern, and she's committed to budget for it for the next 3 years. So it's not.
Because I was thinking what to tell junior faculty members. If our commitment 3 years and they start giving data for 3 years. 3 years later, we say we are going to change the vendor and we are not going to use it. Then whatever they input, basically they have to do it again for whatever we are going.
Well, I can tell you it's a 3-year contract and we can extend it to 5. And after the 5 years, if no one likes it and we want to move to something else, we can look at something else. But I think people will be satisfied with it and we'll try to stay with it.
If I was going up for promotion, I would have loved something like this. But I'm sure glad I got that binder now, because when I die, that binder is gonna stay somewhere in a box for grandkids, but this will be gone. But I would have loved this.
Mike,
How long has this company been around? Is it used coast to coast?
yeah. I don't know exact years about how long they've been around, but I can find that out. But they're well known within this university system.
They're well established.
One of our, was it Dr. Chowdhury? One of y'all used them before. Okay,
I've used them before I came here. I mean, it's a fairly standard across the nation if you're applying for a job.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a really great way to put everything up digitally for the job, you know, your rec, your syllabi, your proposal, what you see, blah, blah, teaching philosophy. And then the company that you're applying to will look at it and say, yeah, come on down.
Thank you.
So it's very easy to use.
And they have other ways of
Very
generating revenue than just.
they actually have 5 different systems that all work together. One of them is called Faculty Search, which is the one that is talking about, which they use for job searches and things like that. And there's review, promotion, and tenure, faculty activity reporting. There's one called faculty web profiles. And so they use all the information you put into FAR to populate web profiles that you can make public facing or internal facing or both, or whatever it has. And we've discussed in the beginning, we talked about having something like that for all of the state reporting we have to do for syllabi and CVs and those types of things. But once you start adding on different things, they become more and more expensive. And so for now, we felt like these 2 things were the immediate things we needed. And I mean, by themselves, the contract is for $28,000. And it's a 5% increase each year over the 3 years that we have it. but like I said, the provost is committed to doing that, so.
So 28,000 for the first year
Yeah.
and then plus 5.
Yeah.
5% increase over.
Yeah, it comes out to 31,000 in the third year.
Is there a cap on that?
No, well, the cap is 5%. Yeah,
Like a cap for how many years, so I have it for 10 years.
oh, no, I don't think, yeah, I think it's 5% every year for however long. I mean, I'll have to ask because that's actually a good question. Because sometimes at some point you're paying $1 million.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So, no, that's a good question. I'll ask it. I do know that if we extend it to 5 years, it is 5% year 4 and another 5% year 5. But beyond that, I don't know if there's a cap. I'll look into that.
5% on the previous years.
Yeah.
So
Can you say again how much it costs in the first year?
In the first year, it's $28,250.
8,500.
250. 28,250.
Thank you.
just out of curiosity on the building the template for 10-year promotion into the Interfolio, do they help you do that or do you have to do that?
So I actually walked through that with them this morning. And Alan Spire is the gentleman we've been talking to there. And he told, because I asked, I said, so when the system's ready to go, like we'll have to have somebody go in and start uploading these templates and things like that, right? He said, no, he goes, we will take your first template and use it to show you how to do it. So what they would do is I'd give them our TNP guidelines and they would walk, probably me, through how to upload all, like create the templates and everything. Now, again, I've watched several of these training modules and things, and I feel like I could do it myself, but they would use me as kind of the guinea pig or whatever for the first one to go in and put our TNP guidelines into the system. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Brown Marston has discussed this already with IT. IT's met with the Interfolio team, and they believe that that they'll be able to accomplish everything that needs to be done in order to get the system going. She's talking with contracting right now. We've discussed it with the finance and the president. And at the last cabinet and the deans. And so at this point, everybody is on board with moving forward. The thing is that with the timing, if we want it to get done, we have to do it ASAP. Otherwise, we'll end up with another year of D2L. And so we feel like it's good to move forward now and get the contract done and then start the implementation so that we can have it ready to go for the next round. Any other questions? Then I'll find out about the cap on the rate increase, because that,
It could price
yeah,
us out.
at some point they're paying $500 million or something, so, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you. It says plenty of. Oh, and that being said, I want to thank Dr. Azouz, Dr. Yu, and Dr. Chowdhury for their help on this as well. They were very valuable and had some really good questions for the people that were doing the demos and things like that. And really, like we wouldn't have been able to come up with anything without y'all's help. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. My daughter is finishing up softball practice right now. I have to go pick her up.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And y'all have a good evening. And if you have any more questions, just send me an email. I'll be happy to answer them. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find out.
Okay, so approval of the agenda,
Move.
second.
Second.
All approved,
And
any opposed? How about the minutes from October? Approval of minutes. Hey, John.
I have my.
Oh, yeah, oh.
Oh,
correction.
I did correct it, actually.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I didn't
Correction.
do so before it was sent out. I also accidentally included someone who was not there.
Yeah,
So I
or one
removed,
was not
who
there.
was it?
Well, I don't
Oh,
know
Mark.
who was.
Yeah, you weren't there, so I struck your name. There was
I
another
noticed.
person who wasn't, oh, Dan. Dan wasn't there, but I accidentally included him. I struck his name as well. So I corrected John spelling, removed Dan, Carmen. Sorry about those errors.
the correction on the minute. Correction on the
A
minute,
correction on the minutes, okay.
yeah. And actually, it's on our agenda today as well. The law we were talking about is the House Bill 29, not the Senate Bill 29.
Oh, HB instead of SC.
Yes,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
I don't know if I had that on my
I will
agenda,
make
right?
that correction as well.
No, I'll have to do it on the agenda too, because of House bills.
It is on the agenda too, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Senate Bill 9? Because there is a Senate bill also. House-
Right, there are both.
Senate Bill 8, House Bill 29.
Senate
Yeah.
Bill 229, there's
There's
something like that, but it talked about a completely different thing.
Oh,
So we were looking at House Bill 29.
House Bill.
On two lines, yes, okay.
Motion to approve the minutes with the correct aforementioned correction.
Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, staying. Okay, thank you.
It is House Bill 229. We also talked Senate Bill 8.
Senate Bill 8, okay.
I can,
So that S is an H. They're not logically equivalent, I don't think, but. So I just wanted to ask, and since the. I think what Dr. Duff shared with us was important, but it's kind of. Taken a lot of our hour, trying to keep this meeting at an hour, so. I don't wanna go very long with this, I just didn't know, I haven't heard anything in my college, so I just wanna have a feel when we talk to the president, are people getting some guidance? That they need, whatever guidance that they need, no, okay. So. Dr. Weimer. Yeah, no, yeah, so she wanted to know who said no.
Oh, I said no, that was.
So no. So,
I have, but I specifically saw.
and so is it guidance that we've requested and not getting feedback?
point of clarification, did you get guidance from your chair or have you received
No.
texts?
No, I sought guidance from, not my chair, because, my chair isn't. I'm teaching women's and gender studies, which isn't directly under my chair, so I sought guidance from the coordinator of women's and gender studies, and then we sought guidance from the provost. And the provost had conversations with us directly, which were not explicit guidance on what we can and cannot do. But we were provided with support and answers to our direct questions. And the provost indicated that they expect to be able to provide some additional system guidance soon.
I will say that, as soon as we, did our, class schedule for this coming spring, I have a human sexuality class that I'm teaching. And I was contacted by Dr. Brown Marston right away. She started to ask me, she talked to me about what I'm gonna teach in that class. I said, I've already taken care of it, already removed the gender chapter, already redid the test, I'm done. And so she's quite pleased about that. But so she's on the ball, looking ahead. for spring semester.
Now, we got a list in our chair council, on this last meeting before last, that had all of our courses, and if it had anything to do with it, we were supposed to identify courses that were being taught, that had anything that they would take.
Okay, well, we do meet with the provost next Monday, and so we will. Bring up that we're still looking for more concrete.
College of education.
It's murky. Well, so that
College of education is in good shape on this.
you got college of education is good.
It is, the provost said after multiple meetings with other academic leadership from across the system, that she was expecting to be able to provide more explicit guidance like a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So it is taking more time than she anticipated. But they have prioritized providing us something as we prepare for spring that pertains to spring.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay, the Gardner Institute survey, so. You want this? So. Back in, on October 17th, we all should have received an email from the provost about this survey. And it was due on November 1st. And if you didn't fill it out, my understanding is they're still sending it to you to. Okay, so that's tomorrow, the 14th. And this is information that the provost, I passed this around, and I actually have it all in my PowerPoint here, the information to share. So this is a new project that is gonna be ongoing, and it is to help us with retention. And we're part of a cohort, a third cohort. We were invited by the Vice President Brandon Smith, who was an MSU graduate, who is overseeing our participation in the programs, my understanding. And right now they're conducting, so the steps were, this is the leadership team that's gonna be meeting bi-monthly with the Gardner team. And we're part of this cohort with these other universities. I'm just gonna, this is just personal. I understand my parents met at Baker, so I probably wouldn't be around if and they hadn't met there. And they're part of that school. That's all I know about Baker. We were asked to do these 2 surveys. Those are the surveys that have been extended till the 14th. These surveys are on the institutional transformation assessment, so a survey to assess our need for transformation and our readiness and willingness and ability for that transformation. And after the surveys are completed, there's gonna be a 1-day, 5 to 6 hour meeting, or 2-day meeting with the team and several other people on campus. Like I think 30 some people is what she said, to make sense. So it's a sense making team to make sense out of the information within the survey. And then we'll start a plan of action. And I think that plan of action I saw somewhere where I suspect certain departments where might be contacted. I'm just reading into this, like, I'm sure that people fail math classes quite a bit. So maybe I don't know if math will be part of it, but needing to implement some experiences that help improve retention and success. So I don't know what's gonna become of it. I'm just thinking ahead that maybe. It did say that they would identify certain teams or areas to focus on. And then ongoing design and scaling will happen, and that this is a 5-year project. So I want you to be aware of the project. It was I did look at the cost, there was a grant that paid for this cost, I believe, to participate in this program. So,
We also got a substantial discount.
yes, we got a substantial discount. Was there, but there was a grant as well.
Yeah.
A Texas grant.
Yes.
So, so that was just more information sharing. I don't know that I can answer many questions about it, but I did complete the survey and I would ask and encourage you to complete the survey so we've got data to make sense out of. If anybody wants to. So, the campus climate on mental health and support systems update. So when we met with the president, she asked us, because of the Gardner Institute, to not do a survey because they knew that survey was coming out, which came out shortly after that, and felt like many of the issues that were being brought up under this were addressed somewhat in the survey. I'm not. But right now, they've asked us not to pursue it. I don't know is your college pursuing a survey?
No, we tabled it to see what comes from this.
Okay, you can table it too.
Were there people involved in that conversation about the survey who have been asked to be a part of the sense making groups? I didn't know.
I would bet social work probably, but yeah, she hadn't said specifically.
Did y'all talk about the survey?
No.
The survey, the Gardner survey.
Yeah.
I think there would be representation from all the colleges.
Yeah,
at some level.
I was told that there will be, I was asked to be on the sense making group for our college. And I was told that there would be representation from each college and that there might also be additional representation from specific like programs. That
Like a
do
retention.
activity pertain to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Programs like that.
test, yes.
So feedback from our conversation that we had last October about raises. So I just wanted to share the feedback that she gave us. We shared the minutes from the last meeting, and so these were quick feedback that she gave. So deans were capped at 3% for raises, and they were to use the annual performance review for merit raises. And a faculty member either received 3% or less than 3%. I asked specifically, could some people receive more than 3%, and other people receive less, and the answer was no. So the highest raise was 3%, so it was 3% or less. Based on just the merit raise, of course, not for the promotions. State statute dictates that only merit and parity can be used, like based on Coupa data for raises. And these parity, and another point that she made was 2/3. So raises are a priority. She indicates raises are a priority, but she also mentioned the number 2/3 of the 1.5 million that would need to be raised for raises. At that 3%, because we're talking about a second year of 3%, 2/3 of that would be based on retention numbers. So. Sharing that.
I'd say that if we want to get a 3% raise, we have to make sure that retention is something that absolutely happens at the rate.
That's what we've been told for the last couple of years.
Okay.
So. That retention was. A necessity for. Raises, and this year we didn't retain. We didn't meet the goal, we had less retention by a couple of percentage points, I believe. But we did have a bigger entering class. They did give us the raise, of course, this year, but I don't know about next year. She said it's still a priority.
Do you think we could have Keith Lamb come and talk to the Senate? Show to talk about retention, and they've got all these wonderful tables and pie charts and bar charts and. So that we can have it in one place.
We could invite him to.
About,
Retention and. They've got a lot of data. I just think that we should all understand it better.
We do need to understand it better, we're gonna be held responsible for.
Yeah. I think we should be having that kind of. conversation.
yeah, I got all these on Saturday tours, lunch. I'm giving up about 2 Saturdays a month, for Saturday tours, yeah, what else is everybody else doing?
So we can ask about Keith Lamb or who would be the best person to talk about the issues of retention.
I think Keith Lang would be that person, really. I didn't say that, he's on the management committee.
But then, the one, new item is about assessment platform, efficiency and faculty workload. So this came from, Dr. Onstock. And it came through you, so through you, from Radiological Sciences. And some concerns with, putting the data into the system. So I wanted to focus on, what worked well. I did talk to my chair who hadn't put our data in yet, so I don't know yet how it worked for us. I do know math has much fewer majors, so we wouldn't have as much data to have to enter. So if you don't have that much data to enter, it might not be as cumbersome than those with a lot of majors. And so I did find out that from my chair that Dr. Harris, Ebony Harris, created the system, and that she thought I could invite Dr. Harris to a meeting if we had concerns, and she would welcome feedback for corrections on the system itself. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. It's an internally developed system, and it might not be perfect yet, but possibly revisions can be made to make it better. Yes.
Whenever I was inputting our data, which I couldn't find any of the data for the 4 objectives that we had on there. She told me that, just we didn't have to do it for every single objective. We could do it for a couple of objectives, just have something for this time. So, and she extended my due date 4 times. So while I was trying to find the data that we were looking for was on a Microsoft form.
One of my colleagues has entered the data 3 times and we still show not complete on their. And so I emailed her today and I've not heard back yet. Yeah,
I pulled our college and I got some reports back, and I can read the emails or I can share them with Dr. Harris if that comes to fruition. But there were 3 areas: redundancy and duplication, and increased time and workload burden, and technical reliability and form design. And so my colleagues gave me information on all of that. So under redundancy and duplication of effort, they said, I agree with these statements. Under increased time and workload burden, they said, I actually tracked my time for this year's assessment reporting, and I spent over 10 hours parsing through data and getting it ready for the report. Surprisingly, I was never presented with the question that asks me to enter how much time I spent. It was on their quote, air quotes, cheat sheet, unquote, for completing the online form, but I never saw it on the actual Microsoft form. Under technical reliability and form design, they said one of the issues I had was in the actual data reporting. Some of our assessment objectives involved multiple data sets. Because I could only enter one value, I had to take the average of these scores. I tried to explain this in the dialog box that followed, but I'm not sure I was successful. I answered that we had met the goal because the way the prompt was worded, we didn't meet the goal. One thing I would love is a simple yes, no, insufficient data option per objective. with the ability to upload supporting documents. I essentially have to present this data twice, once to my faculty and another way that fits nicely in the required form for the institutional effectiveness. It's extremely redundant and frustrating. And then the other person said, regarding the request for feedback, all faculty in the mass communication department actively participate in our assessment process. I'm the person who directly works with the new submission process, and I work directly with the old submission process. It kind of goes on and on. Regarding the new data submission process, I would agree with the points brought to faculty senate: redundancy and repetition, increased time and workload, and technical issues. A new question was asked as part of the new assessment reporting process this year was, quote, approximately how many hours did it take for mass communications to gather the information required to complete this assessment report, end quote. I fear that I underestimated the time that I reported because I had not been tracking my time. So there's, if we're new to it, I started doing hours because I'm the assessment report for art. And I didn't know what was coming. So so it was one of those things where I think there actually was like a printout later on that I was able to look at to see what the questions were, so that you know what to prepare before you entered the form. But you had to click on certain things before you could advance to the next question. And it wasn't like in other previous times you could complete what you had and then go back and fill things out once you had found that information. But it was something that stopped you and you had to go back and find X before you could go to X and Y. So that's what my had to say to them.
Thank you.
I think from the health sciences standpoint, we have to do all this for accreditation, and most of us. Our end goal is licensure so that our students can go out and practice, so our data comes from our national boards, our clinical boards, things like that. We have to do all that for our accrediting body every year, then we have to turn around and do it again for the university, and then we have to do it for SACS. So it's repetitive, it's different formats. Well, this one used to be one narrative, well, now it's 3 different steps. So it's redundant for sure, but it's time consuming, and we don't have time to do it 3 different times. Why can't we just use what's good enough for our accrediting body to go forward?
So when it was in leave, you were able to use what you did for your accrediting body, and now they changed it so that it now
It takes another 30 hours of my time that I don't have.
I neglected to mention that one person says, there's so much time involved, perhaps we could get a course release. I mean, they felt it was, that much time that this being, with the responsibility of one person to collect the data and then to report it was extensive.
Well, thank you. We'll pass that information on and possibly see about which you want. You can have conversations with Dr. Harris, maybe ask her if she wants to talk to hear some of the concerns.
Actually, I think it's more of a dean conversation, maybe upper level conversation from the deans with Dr. Harris.
Well, I got a message from
Yeah,
that.
we'll go to the provost, to the president and provost first, because that's who he needs.
I got a message early this morning before 8 o'clock from my dean saying, could you please talk to Ebony Harris about why I have some part of this stuff that's not completed. And I said, yeah. Isaac Christensen has input it 3 different times, and Wes Cahoon did his twice. And I have no idea, so I emailed Ebony and said, asked her if she would like to talk to the 2 of them, or call them, or have them meet face to face. I haven't heard anything. Please don't put that in there.
I think she's getting a lot of pushback on it. And I think it's kind of out of her hands. I don't know if the weed costs us money or what, but
Yeah.
I think it's coming. I think that was part of the reason for doing this, but my objectives are not going to change. I'm not going to add to them because my end result is licensure. So I'm gonna use the same one for over and over and over and over again. I'm not gonna keep adding to them. So her whole thing was, you know, this year you submit on 3, next year you submit on 5. That's not gonna happen for health science. And the fact that we have to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it just in a different format. It's a ridiculous amount of hours that we're gonna be put in to do this.
I didn't like ways, but at least I understood it.
Yeah, well, and I do think that that is a big part of the,
And I know
shift is that
that's why
people
we're
were
kind of
thinking
shift,
about
but
it.
there's gotta be a simpler way. Than force release, I don't.
When we come past the information, it was very difficult. Some specific information about the difficulty.
Maybe one submission rather than 3. Just one submission. I'm gonna get my SLOs and then my objectives and then my narrative. It's just submit a narrative.
One, so.
One submission, just one submission.
Oh, submission.
Oh, then this one in the spring, this one in the fall, and your narrative at the end. And they're not just be one submission with your narrative.
I hate to be rude, but I really have to leave.
Okay.
I did want to correct the feedback that y'all received. Did you already receive some of these comments?
I've just received the comments that I sent out.
Yeah, that came through Dr. Onstock.
Right.
If you receive comments from other faculty, or if you have additional comments yourself, I will put them into a report that adds them all together so that we can prioritize and figure out how to approach that conversation with Dr. Harris.
Do you want us to send it to you? Chemistry is the same thing. We have a national standardizing standard that we give all of our students every year that's comprehensive with reliability and validity. I mean, it's, we know exactly how we stand with the nation across colleges. And so to disassemble that and try to put it in a different format is costly again, even for time. So
Yeah, super helpful, I think, to add that to the list.
send it to
I wonder too, if it might be helpful to include Dr. Duff in this conversation. Since he is our new AVP who focuses on accreditation and planning. Because he can advocate for faculty who are dealing with those accreditation issues too.
Nation of this one is what he's doing that.
Well, and just, I think. Everybody would be interested in aligning what we're doing for assessment. With accreditation so that you're not duplicating that work. I think Dr. Harris included. So,
Yeah.
yes, send it. We'll pull it together. I think, I mean, do you want to be included on this
Sure,
too?
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, I'll work on putting it all together in a report. But send it if you collected stuff. And feedback. Or have it that from your own perspective. Please, we'll add it together and make it cumulative.
would you like it by a certain date?
Well. I mean, everybody's in the throes of it right now, right? So, I mean, of course, the deadline kind of passed, but a lot of people are still doing it. So, I think that it would be helpful to have it. Before the end of the year, and then maybe we'll start. I'll try to get that report at the beginning of the year.
So does any, I got mine submitted, but I noticed on the list, a lot of people were extended.
Yeah.
Was
A
the
lot of
deadline like a
extensions.
certain date for everybody? So if we said the deadline was like November 14th. You want us to give it to you after the 14th or before?
I think you can give it to.
No, not the assessment itself, but like the cumulative report, so you have it. Cause I think everybody should be done with it by the 14th unless they get extended again, right?
Yeah, but people could, I think that's a good, maybe by Thanksgiving or even, let's say the week after Thanksgiving, so that people who are still dealing with those extensions.
You're asking for feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. The week after Thanksgiving, then I can get the report together and we can converse about it at the start of the year. That'll be good. Thank you.
I didn't do anything with course evaluations, but I just left it on here, still unfinished business if we want to address this at some point. We've been addressing it for a while, I guess. A positive is, it seems like a positive, we complained that it wasn't course evaluations, but we've had conversations a lot about D2L and tenure and promotion, and that is finally gonna get some help with that, hopefully get something a lot better. And maybe we will eventually get somewhere on the course evaluations, the lack of them being completed, but I do want to remind everybody that we're in that time, they should be out to students. I know in my college, we haven't gotten anything, so other than to the information we received at the beginning of the year when they were coming out from the provost.
I think the 16th. When you're supposed to hit the students, November 16th, when you're supposed to close before the big finals.
Oh, I thought they were in October.
So Halloween, October, okay.
I would think they open on. Pardon?
October's 31st. 31st
Yeah,
was when they were
October's
supposed to.
31st.
Actually, some of my sons are like, hey, we're gonna. And then I lost it. If you search about me.
And so committee reports. Is there anything for academic council?
Yeah, some adjustments to math, computer science, and that's it. I think that was it, this last meeting, I think it's really short.
Administrative council doesn't really meet, the only thing with the administrative council is, when policies get reviewed. So there was one review that, you know, we vote to approve, but I feel like I'm not part of any sort of conversation. It just comes into my email. I don't know if it gets talked about, you know, at Dean's Council or other places where other people feel more informed than I do, but that new policies, there is one. It might not be a new policy either, but just electronic, effort reporting and certification for grants, contracts and other sponsored agreements. So that one seemed like it was definitely about anybody that had a grant and who is in charge of the grant and reporting the effort for the individuals being paid for the grant. And then there was another one that came in electronic facilities access control. I think that's about the cards. That one was about the cards getting into the buildings. They're fairly long policies. That's all that happens with administrative council that I can tell. So student allegations.
You think that that the representative who
Okay. Oh, we don't have a representative here. Okay.
that is not,
Yeah,
yeah, they're not
yes.
present.
Athletics council,
PT say that the athletics council did not meet.
did not meet. Okay. Student affairs that left. University celebration of scholarship, not yet. Emergency management,
We did
did you meet? Yeah,
We did meet, basically it
That's fine.
didn't, they're having a new head come in and then we're gonna meet again in January.
okay.
Nothing has been discussed.
Are you and Dr. Onstop both on that?
I believe I.
Okay.
Yeah, Jansen is too, right, Laura Jansen?
Okay, yeah.
On the emergency management, okay, committee. And then, that leadership advisory council, we haven't met since the last time, and I know that we will meet again. To analyze the surveys from the. From the training going on with Jason Weber and Lane from Texas Tech. So any other reports? Yes.
Can I say just three things real quick? So staff senate is going to have an all-campus hot chocolate and cookies with crafts and Christmas music on December 18th in the library from 2 to 4. You'll get a thing in your mail. TASP is sending out something next week for a Friendsgiving open house. Some of the faculty may have received some stuff already, but we're gonna do it in a postmaster. Because we need more kids coming in, because we had 800 tutoring alerts and only about 100 of those came in. So we're trying to do an open house, get them in. If we can get them in there, maybe they'll stay. And then if we have faculty advisors in the room, and I don't know how else to get this to you, but we told the academic advisors also, with the new way that we do probation, it's not, we don't like just look at first year probation anymore. Now we look at all levels of probation. So if you're advising a student and they go on academic probation, they have to be enrolled in Skills for Success, or they have to have taken it and passed it before. So if they have not had it, and then you advise them and they don't have it on their current, like, January schedule, I will dump their schedules because they have to be in that class. So I don't know how to get it out to faculty advisors.
From postmaster to faculty.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I'll just remind everybody.
We need the policy update.
Okay. Okay, you know, postmaster. Okay, but yeah, because they've changed it last year, so now any level of probation, they have to come take skills. They get to come take skills, we have to sell it, because I'm so tired of them sitting there like this the whole time, when all I'm trying to do is help them. You know, so they get to come take this really great class that if you come and do the work, it should dramatically increase your GPA. So wow, why would you roll your eyes at that?
You implement the.
Yes.
So is there not a hold put on, there's more?
There's not a hold for probation. So if they fall below a 2.0, anytime, juniors and seniors, they get put on probation and they have to take skills if they haven't taken it already. So we had like 10 skills classes this fall, we usually have 2. Because we were trying to catch everybody.
When you say you wash their schedule, the whole thing? You just
The whole
drop-
thing gets
So
done.
if that's not.
Invalidated.
Contact them and say.
I reach out.
Oh, you reach out.
I send them a thing multiple times, and then on that last day, I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know what else to do. I called all of you, your advisor, like I contact the academic advisors. But I want to make sure that the faculty advisors aren't left out. Because I would hate for y'all to get slammed in the face with, oh my God, she dropped my schedule.
Yes, we don't receive that.
I don't, and I don't want it.
So it might be needs to be a way we would receive it.
Yeah.
I think that that Dottie is working on developing systems for that. through
Yeah.
Her role in the Student Success Center. But it's the first time that anybody's actually trying to do that.
Yeah,
What does that do for their financial aid or something like that? We dump their schedule like that.
I don't know.
It just sounds like a bad idea.
It's happened, like this is how they've done it
They just add
for all the
that
freshmen.
pitchforks.
Like this is how they've done it for everybody. I just ended up moving into this position when it went big.
I think the impact on their financial aid would depend on when that dump happens.
Yeah, so
If it happens earlier, then it's not gonna
yeah,
have as big of an impact.
it happens before classes start.
It happens before classes start.
It happens before classes start, but they get like notification for this coming up when they'll get notification in December, at least twice. They'll get notification in January. I'll go run a report and see if they have signed up for the class. If they haven't signed up for the class, I send them a text and I send them another email. And so And it's all in Navigate, so you can see every conversation that's done in Navigate for your students. So if you open Navigate with your advisee there and they're complaining, you can say, I can see that Dr. Bunch sent you an email on this day, this day, this day, this day, and this day. And this is exactly what it said. So,
I believe the easiest way for a faculty advisor is to appear on DegreeWorks, I would say, because each time I advise the students, I go to DegreeWorks and see the classes, if he took or she took the classes, I would say. So if it appears on DegreeWorks, I can see it and can advise him or her, I would say, to take it.
okay, I'll
I
talk
don't
to
know.
Kinley,
Yeah, have to find out if they can,
yeah.
don't know if DegreeWorks integrates with,
Do we know
That
what's
makes
the course number for the skill?
Skills is MWSU 1003.
okay, then the next meeting is scheduled December 11th, which is Thursday during finals week. I looked up to see the final exam that would be at the 3:30 block, and it's Friday classes at 1:30, 2 to 3 o'clock. So anybody that just has a Friday class, not a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but just a Friday class at any of these times, this meeting would conflict with their final exam. So if anyone's unable to attend, of course, not only in December, but any other month, you can send a proxy like Dr. Wood joined us to the meeting. I just wanted to bring that up, so you're thinking ahead on this.
Motion approved.
Okay. All approved? Thank you.
I gotta see this. Oh, it's about the student evaluations and other finding grant labs.